Okay. Hello and good evening. And this is another show. What is this, week 5 or something of the Terry's Rant? And here, let me just adjust some lights over here. I forgot to move some lights around. Okay, that's a little bit better. Okay. I felt like I was sitting in the shadows. Anyhow, how you doing? This is Terry Britton, and this is Saturday, so it's the day for Terry's Rants to take place. And to this week, we're talking about the copyrights and patents. The question is, or statement is, why scarcity thinking damages everything. Or do patents and copyrights, are they actually just giving the wrong message nowadays? Now, mind you, I want to get something straight. I have friends who live on the proceeds and royalties from their copyrights and from the licensing from their patents. Whole families that have been financed their kids through college through the licensing on patents and stuff and on copyrights and paid for mortgages. Come on, let's face it. It's quite obvious that as a revenue model or a business model, the copyrights and patents thing, protecting the person who owns the idea, the intellectual property, or the invention, the song, the book, and there's other things that actually can be copywritten as well. And I'm not just talking like trademark type things. That's another league of its own. But drawings and artwork, illustrations, all that kind of stuff can be copywritten as well, and people make a living off of selling that stuff and being able to protect it from being reproduced without them getting some kind of payment for it. So let's not make like I'm not sympathetic to the situation that it's been working. It's a product of the industrial age. It's a product of trying to figure out how to make sure people get paid for their creative efforts and for their inventiveness, and for them being able to reach in and find something special. Okay, it's an industrial era institution. Like I say, it was a great invention for its time, and it still seems like it's a good invention. It still seems like a lot is working, right? But things weren't that way before. I mean, we didn't have copyrights and patents before the patent office was developed. I mean, they were going to close the copyright office, I think in 1910 or something, or 1915. The director of the patent office declared that there were no more patents to be done, and he was going to close it down. And so it's not like we've always felt like it was such a darn essential part of, living, of commerce or of protecting rights. And we've seen copyright be abused so many times, and patents be abused so many times. Like with patents, I mean, basically the game, it's the game of who can afford to litigate and survive until they win. Okay, it puts cases in these days, and even in the past, because I know of cases in the 50s that I've heard of professors and things like that who told me about cases that they had to just give up because a corporation decided to sue them and claim that their minor patent included the ramifications of their own patents. And whether true or not, the amount of money in court fees and lawyers that it would cost to drag it on for years, as a corporation would be willing to afford to do, takes it out of the realm of the private citizen, the lone inventor, the lone creator's hands to even protect their assets anymore. So in that way, it's become outmoded just because of abuse, just because it's become something that no longer actually works in favor of the common man, which is what it was originally intended to do, not to be in favor of the person who had the most money, so that they're being in the realm of the more prosperous contender, so that only the person who could afford to drag it out in court for years and not lose, not care if they even lost, where they could out-survive their opponent, could win this game. It could always win the rights to copyright and win the court case. and have it drag out into where it finally become either a settlement or just giving up, where the person just faced it, they had to give up and concede, and often in depression, and not even show up in court and lose right there just by not showing up. But it's been abused, and the same way we saw through the 60s how many musicians had their copyright rights just abused like mad. With music, in music, you usually split your copyright royalties 50-50 with a publisher. So you do get some protection off of the songs themselves, and that's only off of the performance of the songs by other people, called performance rights, and off the printing of sheet music, you make a profit. The money made off of what they call mechanicals is a whole other realm. The money made from selling records, okay? Mechanical royalties, that's a whole other world. And in that way, that's a place that really got messed up. But that's not our subject, even though it does kind of cross over. That's more in a manufacturing kind of a rights and contractual basis that musicians got screwed. But they still get screwed in that they always had to split 50-50. Usually it was the norm with a publisher of their music. And the publisher usually it was their responsibility to create sheet music out of it and to find other musicians who would cover their songs, cover their materials. And if they were just a just a songwriter, the publisher was supposed to be looking for big artists to record their tunes so that they would have lots of royalties and cut a good deal. And then they'd split the 50-50 with the publisher. Now that's still not necessarily such a bad model, right? It doesn't sound so bad, right? That doesn't sound so bad. But it's led also to lots of litigation about musicians losing the rights to their own music, not realizing they had written off the rights to their music, that they made clauses in there that they couldn't break the contract without giving up on the rights, or it turning into a big hassle about who was getting paid, was the 50-50 really being appropriated, because that was 50-50 after expenses, and little things like that. So anyway, it's been abused for musicians, it's been abused for writers, it's been abused for illustrators. We've seen this abused all over the place for years. So, so we have a situation now that, especially in music, you're seeing it very obvious because it's all over the press, but you're seeing it also on the internet, because all you do is go to Pinterest and you'll see this abuse. That the public is rebelling. The public is rebelling big time. They're saying, look, we don't agree with this copyright scam that you're saying for any minor use for me as an individual to have a use, that I should have to pay some kind of royalties to some big corporation who's going to take most of the money. Okay? And so there's been a lot of rebellion and a lot of this piracy. Well, it started out as piracy with music, and then the peer-to-peer situation, peer-to-peer music sharing happening, and that's bled over into the software realm, where everything in software became pirated. You can go to anywhere in India or Orient, you can get any kind of software for free. Russia too. There's just no sales for software in those realms. Those are realms that software manufacturers have given up. American software manufacturers have given up trying to even sell stuff there. I mean, nobody buys anything there. Everything's pirated. It's unbelievable. It's if you're in the United States, you don't have even a clue how rampant it is in other countries. Where it goes beyond the music realm. And then you go, like I said, I brought up the Pinterest thing and Facebook, all these shared images, all these shared photographs that have the cute text on them with the nice sayings on them and everything. Where do you think those photographs come from? You think those photographs were purchased by the rightful owners, the photographers themselves, or from Getty Images, for instance, who represents many photographers? Thousands and thousands of photographers are represented by Getty Images, and Getty Images does the middleman work of collecting their licensing for people to buy the rights to use those photographs. Well, you really think anybody's paying anything for any of those photographs you see all over everybody's Facebook posts and all over everybody's Pinterest pages? No way, okay? Or Google+. It's just not happening. And but maybe it shouldn't be. Maybe the trend, what's happening here, this is society buckling something that just feels wrong. It feels just wrong that ideas and something that's this kind of human currency of ideas should be held to any particular person as a means of making money, and especially now that it's broken down, where, like I said, with patents, similar with music, where this may have been originally developed to protect individual rights and to help an individual make money off of their innovations, but it has become something completely different. It's become where the corporations are the ones making all the money, and people resent that. Well, they forget, of course, that corporations are comprised of thousands and thousands of individuals with human rights that are trying to eke out a living and pay for their mortgages with their paychecks every week. But still, the public's rebelling against this thing, I think, is a natural outgrowth, not just of being a kid with no money and being in college or high school, not having money to buy all this stuff you want to buy, but it's an outgrowth of just feeling kind of like warped, like it's something twisted about ideas being monetized this way and claimed as for ownership, just because you were the first one to get the claim, the first one to stake the claim, as if this were a gold rush or something, looking for a mine to stake a claim on, which is a whole other round. Don't even get me started. But it just doesn't feel like it is celebrating an unending amount of potential for people to come up with great ideas, or ideas being part of it, like I say, like a human currency, like something that humanity should be owning. But then again, so how are you going to take care of the people that come up with the ideas? How are you going to give them incentive to come up with the ideas? Well, a lot of people that come up with ideas, let me tell you, they come up with ideas because they come up with ideas. It's just a natural thing. And in fact, all this distraction of turning your ideas into a business model, if it does anything, it completely destroys your ability to be creative afterwards, okay? You may have been creative up to that point, but the minute you start putting all your brain into making it pay your mortgage or put your kids through college, well, I'm sorry, it dries up creativity pretty quick. It's a pain in the butt. I mean, if everybody could hire somebody to handle that for them, fine, but no, that's not happening. And like I said, the common man can't afford to do that. And if it's good enough, an asset, then usually some corporation or a record company or some other large organization is going to represent your work is going to take over all that for you and handle it. And now all of a sudden you've got the more fuel for the fire, fomenting all of that public resistance and resentment about corporations and businesses, collecting money for all of this human currency, for all these ideas. And there's always that sneaking suspicion that the musicians and the artists and the researchers, certainly the researchers and the people with the patents, aren't really getting paid what they should anymore. People are very seldom in control of their own patents. Most corporate employees that work in a lab or research at a college have to sign a piece of paper that gives over the rights of all their patents and all their discoveries to the college. And the college has the right to sell those patents to any corporate interests that want to buy them from the college at a negotiated fee, or license them from the college. So it's not like a researcher even walks away from a college or walks away from a corporate laboratory type of job and never keeps any of their patent stuff anymore. So the whole model's become really imbalanced. It's become nothing to do with human ingenuity being paid off forever. And now with companies folding and all this stuff and pensions turning into a disaster, and all these old industrial age era models are just kind of falling apart, and everybody's saying, okay, so how are we going to come up with something better? How are we going to come up with something better? Well, people are scrambling for something better. They are looking for something better. And especially the creative people who come up with ideas want something better. And there have been some thrusts into new approaches to try to at least break the ice and get something happening so that there's a root beginning for some kind of new monetization system to emerge. The Creative Commons copyright is a perfect example. It is an agreement that you can copyright your works, making it free for anybody to have access to those works with various stipulations. I usually do everything I do on YouTube is Creative Commons copyright with attribution. It means go ahead, take my shows, take my music programs, take anything I create, make something else out of it, make something cool out of it, make something better out of it, reuse it, recycle it, and turn it into something good. Just give me attribution. Well, because I do with attribution, and I don't allow I don't mind modification. And some people don't want their stuff modified, but they don't mind it being reused with attribution. So that would be the case with a photographer who just wants more exposure for their photography. As long as their name is put on it, go ahead, splatter my stuff all over Pinterest and Facebook. Put my name on the bottom, for goodness sake, somewhere. Give me some attribution that I took the picture, or I did the graphic, or I did the drawing, or the illustration, or the infographic, or something. Some attribution, please, would be nice. That's just a nice way of at least giving a tip of the hat to the person who was the creative being that came up with this piece, that made the world a better place. And you're sharing it with all your friends because this is making the world a better place. And if they allowing modification, there's a way to find out. There's ways to find out with any image whether or not modification is allowed. You can even search Google looking for to find out if modification is allowed. There's a search under usage rights. There's a search mode for finding out if something's even allowed for commercial use with modification. So people are labeling their stuff. Lots of people are labeling their stuff the same way I do, where they're allowing people to reuse or redisplay their stuff with asking nothing in return other than some kind of a recognition, a notice, a name. And sometimes only for personal use, but sometimes even for commercial use. Now, most people do want, if there's a commercial use for something and someone's making money off of what you did, it's just kind of, hoped that eventually the consumer pressure will come down on the people who were doing the manufacturing of this and making money off of your work. That they'll just, it'll evolve, that it's just becomes so uncool not to pay the artist that you wouldn't even think of it. It would be unthinkable. So this is hoped, because of Creative Commons licensing, it's kind of the root hope behind it, is that it will create a background pressure, consumer pressure that will emerge. New kinds of companies will emerge who do the handling of different materials so that they are collecting and getting stuff to the artists very well. Okay. Now, I must say, what I've heard, something like Getty Images, they now own, they keep buying up all the other image companies. They now own the largest image company in the world. But they seem to be very fair to the photographers. The agreements seem to be fair. Now, I'm not a photographer, so I know I could very easily start hearing from photographers, what the hell are you talking about? Because there's always going to be some people that have, struck out or had some problems with any company. But the point is that they look like they're trying to be mindful of what the needs are. And that's the hope with the Creative Commons thing, is that companies will emerge that are mindful of the needs of the people who are producing the works, and that they will negotiate the commercial uses for them in a fair kind of a way, or give the producer of the work a lot more say in how it goes down, how the contract goes down, and not just take over and say, I do all that kind of negotiation. Please step aside, step aside. Step back, little boy, step back, little boy. That's the way most people feel like they're treated. Whereas this one commercial effort, let's say on Kickstart, trying to get a startup going with a brand new effort, And the photographer or the artist would not mind at all if they got their work for free because they want to support the project. They think it's a great idea. It's an exciting new technology or exciting new publication idea or who knows, an exciting new thing that's going on. And the person producing the content, be they a writer, an illustrator, a photographer, a musician, they're not holding people to always come up with the same amount of money for all situations, and they would like to have more of a say in how much is being put forth, right? How much is put up to use the stuff. But at the same time, they'd like to see some kind of an agreement that says, so once you make it, once you have all this going, once your company is solid and it's all making money and things are going in a few years, hey, you're going to remember, right? Somehow you're going to then pay me. Should we have a delayed payment system? Should we have, what kind of system should we have? Should you pay me in Bitcoins? What, So that's the idea, is to get some conversation and some dialogue happening, and that's where everything is going. And most larger corporate interests are shaking in their boots a little bit because they know that the public tide of opinion is against them in a big, big way, and there's a lot of pressure, especially from the creative people, to move against the old industrial era systems and to create some kind of a new system that's much more social, much more community-minded, and much more fair, and with some say from the creators themselves. Okay, so this is, I think, what's going to come about is sort of like Ayn Rand when she wrote the Atlas Shrugged. In that book, she's got all the management people quitting, and her big thing was that, and so the working class could never, keep up, and then everything will fall apart because management is gone now, blah, blah, blah. Well, I don't agree with that idea. I think it's far-fetched, but because I'm in open spaces and all that, and I think leadership rises into position as necessary in that kind of a scenario. But I think that the musicians are the new management, and the artists are the new management, the photographers are, the writers are, the inventors are. They're the new parallel to what was going on at Atlas Shrugged, that they're starting to say, look, we want something different, and we're going to go to Creative Commons licensing. We're going to go to different means of distributing our work. We're going to experiment with new distribution systems, and one of these distribution systems is going to prevail. And when that new distribution system prevails, it will be a great day, because it will be 100 years in the future happening then, okay, rather than waiting. So, I always say this, well, why are we waiting 100 years for this to happen? It's going to change. It's going to change. And it's not fair now. It's too easy to abuse now. And too many people are losing out now. It's no fun now. It's hard to make any money and still be creative at the same time now. It's so many things that are good reasons to make it move on. Plus, the public wants to embrace it and support the artists and the patent makers and the creatives. The public wants to support the people that actually produce the work, and not just support the people that are simply making money off of those ideas. Not that being a business person is not a creative act. It is. It takes a lot of thinking and cleverness to be a good business person. It's a kind of creativity of its own. But nonetheless, the business model is old, it's antiquated, it's become creaky and full of cracks, and it's too easy to abuse, and it's top heavy, and it's a mess, and it's going to change anyway. So that's my rant for tonight, is to say embrace the change, be part of the change. If you're in creatives that involve copyrights, look into the Creative Commons copyright and see if you can copyright some of your stuff that way. Maybe not everything, but maybe a chunk of it, Try it out. See how it works out, and investigate some of these other distribution systems that are emerging. And with patents, I don't know if there's a parallel Creative Commons copyright type of a thing. I'm just simply ignorant about that. I forgot the glimmer in the back of my mind that there was something proposed, but just not sure what that something is. Nonetheless, when you're talking patents right now, you're talking, like I say, such abuse going on where whoever can afford to drag you through court the longest is going to win, or you've had to sign away your rights right from the get-go if you work for a university or corporation anyway. So it's really a mess. It's like, God, why would you even want to be an inventor nowadays? Well, because you can't be anything else. That's why. That's something that really gets me. How come people can't figure that out? When you're in the creatives, when you're a creative person, you can't stop yourself from being creative. Ideas are coming to you. They're popping. They're getting excited. You're having aha moments. You can't sit still. You want to see it realized. You want to see it shared with the world. You want to get it out there. It's part of your being a social animal. It's part of giving to humanity and being a member of the community and a good citizen, and all those things rolled into one, plus the good heart it gives you, feeling you're part of the universe, giving back to the universe, and all that kind of good stuff. So there's no way to stop it. So the creator is going to have to create. So let's find better systems to make the life of all humans who are creative a lot more fun and a lot more enjoyable and relaxing, and where they can still earn a nice living doing it anyway. Okay, all right, so that's my rant for tonight, and I hope you enjoyed that. I don't know how long I went a little bit over my usual 15 minutes, but that's not too bad. All right, good night. I'll see you again next week, and I'm hoping to have some guests in upcoming shows once in a while. If you'd like to be a guest on the show, please do get hold of me, and I've got a list of the topics in the show notes here, and also as a post on my Google Plus page right now. So take a look at all the different shows I do and decide if you'd like to be a guest, and then let me know, okay? All right, see you next week now. Thanks for hanging out with me.